Hello and welcome to From No Crypto to No Crypto. This is the Crypto Coach, Blockchain Wayne, with another cryptocurrency podcast. Today we got a special guest interview. We've got Coach K, that's Joel Kalshoff. He is the CEO of Athena Education. And Joel, man, I want to thank you for joining us. I know it's a different time over there on the other side of the world, but I appreciate you hopping in and sharing some of your knowledge. I've seen, and we've talked a little bit about a lot of what you do. We both believe in education as being the key to helping move crypto where it needs to go and move it forward. So, man, tell us a little bit about your platform, Athena Education, and some of the other things that you've done in the crypto space.
All right, man. Well, thanks for having me, Wayne. It's been a long journey in crypto, about 6 years now since I started, and I'll just kind of get into what I do in the space quickly. A quick overview, so I don't bore everybody with that. So Athena Education, it started off as cryptocurrency education. We rebranded in 2018 to Athena Education because we started our own company December 2017 called Athena Enterprise Software. And what that is, with the mindset that I have, is I educate people about crypto so they would stop getting scammed. So starting in 2017, late, I started looking at all my friends getting scammed, and I was like, someone needs to be out there really, truly educating. And I taught in high school for 8 years as an international educator. So I had a really good background to help these types of people not get scammed, understand like what to look for. Have I been scammed? Yes, and if you haven't, you probably haven't been in this industry long enough yourself. But this is one of those things where I really wanted to help other people and really teach them what the whole idea of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies were trying to do, what blockchain was. So we started Athena Education, and the whole idea behind this is like giving people what they need. And what I realized is most people want to learn how to trade. They want to learn about how to make money. Obviously, that's what drives people at the start to the industry. And then we usually see that tech is not as important for them, but the idea is you get them involved, you get them the first Bitcoin or the first part of a Bitcoin, for example, and they start looking at it and going, oh, this is interesting, when they see it increase in value in 2017. And then when it decreases, they're like, what happened? And then I had some guy that I introduced recently say, hey, man, it went back up. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, it's in profit again. I can't believe it. So getting them involved like that. And then Athena, our platform that we created was a lot of things. So the first thing it is, number one, it's educational. So giving people an understanding of what cryptocurrencies are. We made a course for that. You have a free course for 5 videos, really just getting the basics. You don't get, so you know how to use your private keys, etc. We have a couple other courses that we're developing right now. I'm developing my trading strategy into a course so that it helps people understand why they should trade, how they should trade, and more importantly, the mindset behind trading, because it's probably the hardest part. And we also built this trading system because we noticed that, or I personally noticed that Binance didn't let you do a lot of things at the same time. Number one, being that you can't have a stop loss and a gain at the same time. So basically you either hit your gain or you stop out, or you miss your stop out and you go to minus 20 if you wanted to sell at minus 10. So these things were kind of a challenge for the average user coming in, and the average user was using Binance. So we built a trading system that would let you do several different things and make it really simple to use, integrated trading view, and simplified the whole entire process. Then, so from 2017, like I said, I started getting more involved. I started advising a company called Veracity. If you guys watch like Chico Crypto or some of the influencers like Crypto Arnie, there's obviously been some buzz around it recently, being that we got a strategic partnership with Binance. Caesar tweeted it, and then now we're also on Binance Dex. So that was really awesome. And I'm helping a couple other projects, some that I can't name because of NDAs, but the whole idea is I'm there for the people in the space and really there for the companies in the space to try and give them the mindset and understanding of ways they can make their tokens have more use case, give them a simplified version as a user. So you guys, if you watched my interview with Maddox, Sandeep Nawal was the CEO of that network. Basically, I break it down into like a really simple, easy to understand way to look at a project from the consumer view of going like, what the heck does this Matic network thing do? And then when you kind of explain to them, it's like creating a place for like applications to be developed, similar to Google Play Store, people go, oh, that's what it is. Okay, that makes sense to them. So that's kind of been my goal in the space, really, is getting the education out there, teaching people about what projects do. Also, the trading system is something that's just my passion. I really enjoy trading, and I enjoy helping people learn how to trade, and also people learning how to lose and how to win in trading, because you don't win all the time, and anyone that shows you that is usually lying. So showing them that yes, you can lose, yes, you can win, but it's about winning more than you're losing, and that's basically what I do. So again, thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, nice. All right, man. So we talked a little bit offline about mindset, right?
Yep.
Tell me your insight on that, because you've been helping people, teaching people for a while, and even when they know what to do, they don't do it. So give me your insight on that, man. I really liked their topic when we talked about that.
Absolutely. So, I mean, mindset is probably the hardest part of either trading. I would say when we're talking about mindset, usually it's about trading or investing. So, when you get involved with crypto, you have to first know that it's because it's such it's a really infantile industry right now. I mean, we're talking like gold has 7 point something trillion dollars already. That's just gold. So we look at, crypto, and crypto doesn't even have $1 trillion. We're at 300 billion. The max we ever got to was 800 billion before the blow off top happened. And so it's a volatile asset. I mean, someone can take $30 million, put it into Coinbase and buy, and it will drive the price up $1,000 or $2,000 potentially. So it is still a very new asset class. You have to first understand that it's volatile. And if you invest money that you can't afford to lose, you're going to get very emotional and make a lot of mistakes. So the whole idea is to get started is put in something that you're willing to lose. Don't stress about it. So if you have $1,000 laying around, and if you lost that $1,000, it wouldn't be the end of the world. That would be okay. If you had 10,000 like that, that would also be okay. And the idea is knowing that it is a little bit risky, of course, but the reward side, if you've looked at Bitcoin since its inception, is extremely large. There's an article and a thing I posted recently that 98.2% of the time that Bitcoin has actually been created and around for has been profitable. So basically, you almost can't lose with this asset class. We have to think long term. And even during our bear market, everyone was like, oh my God, but it actually jumped from the low of 2016 about $3,000 or $2,800. So we're really not in a bad space, but you have to be strong. Like Warren Buffett says, you transfer wealth from the patient to the impatient, the impatient to the patient, sorry. And why he says that is if you're trying to get rich quick, you're going to get absolutely destroyed in this industry because you're going to over leverage yourself. You're going to put way too much of your pot in one trade and you're going to lose. The whole idea of a mindset is actually getting you to a point where if you're investing, you're putting 3% of your capital at risk. You're going to have a stop loss in a reasonable area based off of technical analysis. You're not going to buy based off only fundamentals because that's how a lot of people do get wrecked. And you're actually going to make sound, educated, informed decisions. And so the idea of mindset for me is really teaching people, like, at first you are risking capital that you can afford to lose because, yes, even though you could see it go 10x or even 20 or 30x that capital you put in the market, you also could see it go minus, if you have $1,000, minus $600, $700, $800 and have $200 left. So you have to understand that before you get started and then, get into the mindset of, okay, I can handle that and be tough. That's why you see these really funny memes with like people on a roller coaster and there's like the people in the back are like, they're like retail investors and the OGs from Bitcoin are like sitting there without even an emotion on their face, like, been here, done that. So the idea is to try to be more like those guys and be like, yeah, it went down to like Bitcoin since my birthday when it hit the all-time high at like 14K almost, it's dropped down to 10K and everyone's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I'm like, dude, like if you had invested in April, which is only a few months back, you'd be up like $6,000 on Bitcoin. And they're like, oh yeah, I guess that's true. Like, so what are you stressing out about? And getting in that mindset. And then with trading, it's the same idea. If you're going to this is a big problem with people. They cut their losses and they take their gains too early. So that mindset of, okay, I trust my analysis. I'm either going to stop out on a trade or I'm going to hit my gain on the trade. I'm not going to take a stop loss because I see it go down 5%. and be scared and cut it out. And I'm not going to take profit at 4% because that's not when you're supposed to take profit. You're supposed to hit your game. So the idea really here is teaching them to be pretty tough and strong, and be able to get that education where they're like, okay, I know this can happen, but I'm going to trust myself. And this is the hardest part, is trusting. If you're a new trader, trusting yourself is extremely difficult. When you see 2 or 3 trades not hit, you start thinking like you're the worst trader in the world and like, I'm not going to be able to do this. Or if you see like, if you join a trading system and they lose like 3 or 4, you're like, oh man, this is going to be garbage. For long term, it's all about, 50% at 1.5 R will make you profit every month. So you don't even have to hit all your trades. You hit 50%, and if you're the right risk to reward, you'll still be profitable that month, even with 40% on some strategies. So it's really about getting in the mindset of like, if you can let your strategy play out and you're really doing what you're supposed to do and you set it and forget it, you don't watch the markets every second, and when you see Bitcoin drop or something drop, you don't freak out, then, you really will be okay. And it's a really hard thing, I find, for most people to get to a point where they're like, okay, I set my trade, it was 11% stop, it stopped out. That's okay. That happens. And if your next trade goes up 22%, now you're good. You made your profit back and then some. So really giving them the whole package is what I'm focused on. And the mindset actually is the most important part. I'm sure you've had this experience, Wayne, where your guys that are with you, they've been like, oh my God, they're freaking out. And you just be like, dude, like sit down, take a break and look at the markets long term, go on a daily trend on a trading view and look at it and tell me, is this like a really horrible thing? Go to the monthly and look at the monthly or the weekly chart and look from like 2015 and tell me, are you really freaking out about a little blip in the mirror? And, getting them like calm down. And I mean, emotional traders always lose money. Let's be real. I don't think I know one trader that goes like, oh, it's going up, oh, it's going down, or like gets too excited when it's up, or too excited or too scared when it's down, that makes money. And I like to do this thing where I listen with my eyes. It's something that I've made like kind of my quote, listen with your eyes, because if you listen with your ears, a lot of people fill your brain with bullshit and bad information, and you start not trusting yourself. So I started looking with my eyes, and that could be reading the right material. That could be watching what the market's reactions are. That could be just reading about, what certain projects have been doing and not really listening to the noise behind it. And if you close your ears and you just read the right place, and you don't over-inform yourself about stuff, you start making a lot better decisions, personally, is what I found. And like Tiki Tuwari even said it, he was like, let's look at what the institutions have been doing the whole bear market. And when I started like looking even deeper into that myself, I was like, holy moly, like you could see the movements of OTC. You could see a lot of the stuff institutions were loading up this whole entire bear market. And I saw that and I was like, guys, like you can see this. They're loading up. They're getting more and more Bitcoin. They're taking more control of the industry, and they're doing it via fear. So, the whole idea is to get the bankers out. But if you sell all your Bitcoin, well, guess who gets all the Bitcoin? The bankers. And so you don't want them to have that, because the whole idea is to kind of maybe not get rid of banks, but give them less control of our whole entire life, of our lives. And this is where Facebook and Libra coin, which I don't think is a cryptocurrency, but it's kind of like that step to like stick it to the man. So that's also interesting. So I'll let you come and give your take, Wayne, on that.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree. I mean, I talk to people all the time too, is identifying a strategy and sticking with it. And that whole part where you mentioned about, not constantly checking the price. I tell people all the time, if unless you're planning on selling, or you don't have a stop set or you don't have a strategy in place, then that's when you panic. And I teach people in the beginning, some people, they've got a long way before they learn how to trade when they first get into maybe, getting an account set up, getting a wallet set up, and getting their first bit of crypto. So I tell those people, unless you're going to be day trading, you don't need to be looking, refreshing whatever app you're using, whether it's Blockfolio or CoinStats or whatever. You don't need to be refreshing on your phone every 15 minutes. It's gotta, your actions have to reflect whatever strategy you decide. But I tell people always to move towards that, learning how to trade. But even in the beginning, we hear like the holders lost big time in 2018, but who really didn't lose big time is some people bought in at an all-time high and then they didn't buy anything else that whole time it was going down. And, so they've got to wait, for technically for them to be in a profit on what they've got invested, they've got to wait for that price to bounce all the way back. But the people that have been consistently buying, whether it's buying on the dips or having a dollar cost average strategy, those people are actually sitting really good right now too. I did a scenario in one of the classes I teach where I was going through, and I forgot the exact amount, but it was a certain time every day every month that they were buying, like a hypothetical, like if you bought this amount, the same amount of say Bitcoin every month at the same time, and we started at like 17,000 and all the way down, all the way through till this was probably a month and a half ago maybe, and their cost average on Bitcoin would have been around 6,600.
There you go.
So they'd be sitting in profit right now versus that person that would have just bought in at 17K and never bought any more. So they may not have done as good as they could have done if they were trading and they, increased their skill. But they, it's a mindset. People have to identify a strategy and stick with it. I agree with you. You can't get emotional. I've seen both sides where people will panic sell, but also I've seen people when they FOMO buy, when they're chasing the trade to try to make it happen.
Yeah, and you see, like, recently I've had a lot of messages and stuff from people like, what should I buy? What should I do? How do I get in Bitcoin again? And I was like, oh, boy, we're getting to that point again where we're going to have a blow off top. I started feeling like that. I mean, at 11.7, I got it on my long, and I saw it go up to like 14. I was like, oh, man, maybe I did make a mistake. And then, like, a couple days later, I was like, nope, that was pretty much a good decision. And I exited other my not my long position on BitMEX, but on my regular Bitcoin. I exited some of it at 12,000. And I was like, started to think like, did I make a mistake there too? And then, I started looking at the weekly shooting star that we had started this week, and I was like, man, we going down. And everyone's like, what do you mean? I'm like, we're going down. Like, we're definitely going down. Just start selling some of your position just in case and hedging out. And some people were like, why? And I was like, listen, you don't have to listen. This is not financial advice, but I'm hedging out. And like, you guys know that I don't lose as much as you do. So this is a good idea to do it. You can always buy your Bitcoin back. You get more Bitcoin actually if you wait and, buy it back. And they're like, oh, okay, true. Some of them don't listen. They're like, oh, I should have listened. And then it's the whole idea of like, this is why I want to teach them why they should be looking at these things and really teach you how to like read a chart via price action, via volume, and via, some of different strategies you can use like Bollinger Bands and RSI or Stoch or using Ichimoku Cloud, and really giving them like the simplistic way of looking at the market and being able to make an informed decision. Now, we all know in trading, it's like, as much as people don't want to call it gambling, because there's definitely ways that you can stack the odds in your favor when it comes to trading. It is some similar. There's a lot of similarities, and this is why a lot of people that are in crypto are former poker players and stuff like that. And the reason why we see guys like Doug Polk and stuff do well in crypto is they understand the fundamental side of like taking profit and getting out when they need to get out. And not being like, too emotional based off, let's say if you have a really good hand and someone's really like, or someone, you look on the table and you see someone has, potentially you have a flush and you have maybe 3 aces and you're going, maybe I should get out of that, like even though I have a really good hand, I might be getting beaten in this one. And maybe they're bluffing or maybe they're not. So you have to start learning the same thing applies to the market. But with the market, like casinos always stack the odds like 1 or 2% in their favor. You have to do the same thing. And over time, you always win. And this is the thing with like compounding your interest. So someone said to me like, I only have like 0.1 Bitcoin. Like I'll never make money. And I'm like, you sure as hell will if you make trades. Let's say you make 2 good trades every single day. So you have 60 positive trades, you make 3% on that every single time. So you make 3% on, or let's say we say it's 20% on every single time you make a good trade. I'm using 3%. Like over the course of a year, you'll have like a few Bitcoin probably, if not more, as long as you have like a decent trading strategy. And they're like, really? And I'm like, here, like take $100 and compound that with 2% over the course of 180 days. And that, or 1% even, over the course of 365 days. And they see the profit at the end of that. You're like, okay, that's only 1% a day. You might have not even that much. but you're going up, right? And they see that. I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, imagine you have a huge parabolic movement where everything starts to go crazy again, and you start making 3% on your pot a day. And you do that for 6 weeks. Check how much that is from 0.1 BTC. And they're like, holy crap, that's a lot of money. I'm like, yes, because if you play the long game, you'll win. It's the people that come in the market, they're like, I have a Bitcoin, that's all the money I have. And they go and they put a Bitcoin on one trade, or they put half a Bitcoin on one trade. And that's how you get wrecked in this market. Even 0.1 Bitcoin on one trade, if you have one Bitcoin, is very high risk. It's a really high risk trade. So I would say, like, if you're going to start, and this is really good advice for anyone, and it's not financial, it's just advice for trading, is, 0.05 would even be risky. 0.03 might be your ideal number for getting into a trade. And you're like, oh, that's only a couple $100. You're like, yes. But if you put a couple $100 into a trade and you do 10 positive trades, you make $50 in those 10. Now you have $500 more. Now you're trading with a little bit more every single time you trade. Then if you make another $500, you're trading with a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. So your $50 can turn into $55 per trade, turn into $60 per trade, turn into $100 per trade. And that's how you make money trading. And once people get that mindset, they actually start to win in the trading game, because they start seeing slowly they're making profit, but the slow profits turn to they turn to big profits fast, because that compounding interest of like reinvesting your wins. And then the biggest piece of advice that I always tell people that no one took, and even myself I didn't take enough of, is when you get to a point where you have so much profit that your original investment can be taken out and you can still continue on, take your freaking original investment out. That's a really good idea. If you ever need money again or the Bitcoin drops, you'll have money to reinvest and get more Bitcoin later than waiting for potentially it to, moon or whatever. It's better to go, okay, I put in 40K, I'm at 80K, I'm taking my 40K out. I'm going to let the 40K ride. And they keep trading it. I can turn 40K into another 80K again. But here's the thing. Now Bitcoin drops to like $4,000 again. I'm going to buy 10 more Bitcoin. And if it goes back to 10,000, even better. So giving that idea and that mindset also makes them not get wrecked. The whole idea of getting wrecked is you lose all your money. And it's about, okay, when you're up, take the profit out. When you're down, put some back in, like you were saying. And so you don't end up like ever in a position where you're totally screwed. You actually end up in a position where you're like, okay, I'm comfortable. I'm sitting pretty. I got in. If you got your guys in at 6,600, they're like, cool, whatever. Bitcoin going back to 88,300. Where that would tell us a new trend is starting. I don't think we're going to get that low, but it could happen. But if we get to 8,300 and the new trend starts, maybe they'll just take some profit out. And if it goes down to like 4,000 again, they'll buy even more. So this is the idea of the strategy when you're trading. And, trading isn't all I do, but the mindset of trading goes into the investing game too. It's like you invest in an IEO or an ICO and it goes up 10X. Take the 1X you put in out. Leave the 9X. Play with other people's money. If you win in this market, use other people's money. Don't use your own. That's so much easier long term. If you're listening to this right now, it's easier long term and it's not painful. If you see someone else's money because you made profit go and it goes down 5%, 10%, 15%, 20%, you don't really care as much. And when you don't care as much in this market, you start to make huge gains because you're not emotionally attached to your trades. You're not emotionally attached to your holds. And it starts to, like, over the long term, really benefit you. So, and then another really big part, as we all know from, if you saw that video, the altcoin video yesterday with the guy doing the Billy, what's it called, that song? I'm gonna take you down to the hotel room. Did you see the altcoin video yesterday, Wayne?
Yeah. The all-time low, or?
Yeah, the all-time low, that's right. So you don't want to hold your altcoins to an all-time low. You really want to always have most of your crypto in, Bitcoin or into some of the top 10s. And the reason being is we really are a speculative asset when you're talking about most of the lower level projects. And a lot of them don't really have good use cases, but have nice pumps. And you join in on those sometimes and you get burned for it. So don't join in pump and dump projects. Get into projects you really believe have a use case. And Bitcoin always is going to have a use case. You've seen Anthony, the pump, just this week. I know Dan Riner as well. he was interviewing him, and he said he put half his wealth into Bitcoin. He's a very wealthy man, so that's a lot of money in Bitcoin. So the idea is, have your mindset right, and if you do it the right way, you'll be laughing in the long run. And it doesn't even matter. This doesn't just apply to crypto; it applies to all trading and all investing. So knowing what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, and having a plan that most people don't, I think will save you a lot of pain.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Appreciate the insight on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's move on to another topic, man. We kind of touched on it briefly. Asia Blockchain Summit's going on right now. CZ is one of the headline speakers. What do you think is going to come out of that?
So I made a post on, so a couple things that happened with CZ recently. I made a post on, I can't remember his name right now off the top of my head, but on one of the crypto influencers on Twitter, which didn't get retweeted by CZ till I made this post. So he came onto Twitter and he said, here's why BNB is going to do really well in the long term. I'm actually going to search for that tweet, but basically what he said is, here's why it's going to do really well in the long term. And I was like, he had 7 points that he posted on that. And I was looking at that and going, okay, that makes sense. But the thing is, he missed one really important thing. So if you guys have been in the market right now and you've been watching what Binance has been doing, they did a couple things. The first thing they did was this whole thing with like Binance US that came out, and the next day basically said, yeah, we're pretty much going to be banning all US citizens from using Binance.com, which caused a lot of drama in the industry. Of course, people are freaking out. Okay, so the guy's name is the Crypto King. He's got 15,000 followers on Twitter, and he posted that basically like BNB is going to have a really like parabolic move, or like going to have a really good year coming up. And he said these things before it was actually posted anywhere. He said, 1, there's a solution for US traders. 2, coin burn around the corner. 3, an IDEX, number 1 DEX and volume exchange, Binance Chain, more utility to BTC, IEO tickets, reduced fees. And then he wrote question mark number 8. And I wrote as a reply, you forgot the biggest one, July 2nd, or they said July 2nd, it could be July 3rd too. Margin trading activated, you heard it here first. And then the Crypto King said +1. And the reason why I said that was because there's a few factors that go into this. And this is something that a lot of people have known me for. I call things before they happen a lot of time. In March 16th, if you guys want to join my YouTube channel, just look up Athena Education. I'll send it so Wayne can throw it in the comments of the video. But basically, join my channel. And if you go to the very first video that's there, you can see on March 16th when I said it's going to be an April bull run or April Fools. And I said that we're very likely, and this is probably the 3rd or 4th or 5th time I said it on the live feed, that we're going to see an April bull run. And so people are like, how did you know? And it's just, when you've been in this industry long enough to see it pretty much dead from the consumer level, and where you see only influencers and people with projects at conferences that are very big, like Beyond Blocks and other ones similar to that, you start realizing like, okay, this market's about to turn. And so I started telling people that, and there's other reasons as well, like market analysis, but I won't get into it. So, now we come to this point, and I told people that mainnet was coming for Matic. People saw that. They were really excited. Now they're like, okay, what's next? And I was like, BNB is next. And so they're like, why? Here's a few factors you have to put in consideration. Number 1, if any of you have used Binance.com or still using it, you notice that they updated their website. Now they're on the new Binance. You can see margin trading when you go to the tabs. They have actively for a month, or a little bit more than that now, had people using margin trading. The 1,000 traders that they had using margin trading, they've had liquidations, etc. So where does that all get to? Who is the sponsor, the major sponsor for Asia Blockchain Summit? It is none other than Binance. Why Binance? Why CZ is the keynote speaker for this conference? We look at this platform, looks perfectly ready to go. We look at the margin trading is there, it's just not activated yet. What a perfect time for them to go, all right, we're going to announce this at Asia Blockchain Week. when CZ does either his keynote speech or at some other point in this week, it would make too much sense with all the FUD that was going around. And the really big piece of information here is after, not before, after I wrote You Forgot the Biggest One, July 2nd margin trading, CZ retweeted this tweet from him. So that was also another really big, wake up for me. It was like, well, that's pretty interesting. So could I be wrong? Sure. It's anything's possible, of course, as we know. But that's just something that I saw, and I was like, that is really interesting. And I mean, I'm sure you also think that's kind of interesting as well. So that's basically where we're at, and that's why I believe CZ will come out with that. Amongst other things, he also said that be careful what you wish for once this year, and that was when someone said they're going to have their own stablecoin. That happened with a Bitcoin peg and a USD peg already, and he just said, be careful what you wish for, because someone said that they should probably burn some of the team tokens. And he said it again, be careful what you wish for. So then he said, like, around the FUD of all the team having all these tokens, it could, offload $1 billion worth of tokens and stuff. He said, be careful what you wish for that. So he might be burning some of the team tokens as well. So there's a lot of bullish stuff going around BNB. And I don't think that this whole US thing is really going to affect anything that much. And I think it actually could lead to the DEX, which is actually really great if you haven't used it. If you're a U.S. citizen, you can use a VPN and get on. It's using your Trust wallet. So, I mean, as long as you have Windscribe or something, you'll be able to get on the DEX anytime you want. It's a DEX. They can't really bar you from using it unless your IP is wrong. So you could go to Singapore or anywhere in Asia, say you're there and your IP shows it, you can go on the DEX. So I don't think it's going to kill Binance completely in the US, and I think the US Binance is just going to have less shit coins on it, to be completely honest, and you'll have better projects because the US will regulate them. But if you look at Coinbase, there's still going to be quite a few projects that'll still make it on. So not too worried. I think there's a lot of really positive stuff around that project. I think there's a lot of FUD around Binance Coin right now and Binance itself. But I think that CZ's too smart to have come out with all that information just to not actually have a plan. The guy is a really smart marketing genius. So I really believe in what his vision is, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that one, man. Whenever they made that announcement about blocking the U.S., I had a lot of people calling me, should I pull out? Should I get it out now? And I'm like, no. I mean, basically, you got till September. And on top of that, when the U.S. platform launches, like you said, I really do believe the same thing, that it's just going to be a similar platform with some less altcoins, because some of them may be too risky to list in the U.S. as far as having projects that may not want regulators coming after them, could be deemed a security, whatever the case may be. But I've always seen, even when Binance gets a bad rap, they really got some genius behind some of their decisions.
Absolutely. I'm in a project right now. Here's a good one for anyone listening. Don't ever use IDAX. They're a super scam exchange. So I joined a project as a marketing advisor to kind of help them with some of their push, and it's called Blabber. It's a pretty cool project. They have a mobile, actual real. It's already working, their product, so it's not like they're just gonna make something later. And it's not an MVP. It's already on Google Play Store. It's already on app. So you can use it. And it's a location-based social media platform where, if you go to Spain, you don't know anything in Spain, it kind of connects you to the places that you could look at and do. So it makes it a little easier to be on social media, and then connect with the people around you, and then go meet people, party, whatever it is that you want to do. So that's pretty cool. But they went to do their IEO on IDAX, and IDAX basically filled up the bar with bots, and people were having all sorts of issues getting on and doing their KYC, and so people couldn't actually do their stuff. And then we found out that they filled up the allocation so fast to be 100%, and then they did it for all these other projects, and they've scammed all these projects $5 million collectively at this point. So be really careful about using that exchange. And this is I think they're out of Singapore and Hong Kong, or no, Singapore and China. So they're really they're one to avoid if you're looking at a project to not. If you're looking at an exchange that probably will not keep your funds SAFU, watch out for those guys. There's some really shady characters out there in this industry. and you don't want to be a quadruple victim, which a lot of my friends were. This is the stuff that, drives people away as well from crypto. But the whole idea is education of like getting everyone to understand what is a good exchange and why. I think could save a lot of people. And Binance is a great exchange. And why? Because look what they did with their funds. They do the right thing. And this is what I'm talking about with the Blabber. They refunded all participants their Ethereum out of their own pocket. I've never seen a project ever do that before in my life. Just because they wanted to make sure that those people were done right by. And if IDAX will ever, give them the money back, they'll just give it back to themselves. And if not, it is what it is. But the whole idea here is that CD does the same thing. They get hacked for 40 million, and he looks at it, he's like, oh crap and all this stuff. And then he realizes, oh, well, I could make that back in like a month or two, especially if the market's hot. And so doesn't even stress, doesn't bat an eye, gives people their money back, and then just keeps pushing forward. And this is the stuff that we need. Good leaders in the industry, good leadership. As much as people like decentralization, I think it's actually just a word. It's a play on words for most people, because sheer decentralization is actually anarchy. And I'm a big fan of crypto and blockchain, but you cannot be 100% decentralized in anything because it just doesn't really work. People have greed and emotions that get behind it. So yes, we can put things like a payment system on a decentralized system, but you can't decentralize everything. And so, having leadership is still going to matter in this world. And we still need people at the forefront to lead people. Otherwise, no one really cares that much, So, you need to Steve Jobs, and you need the CZs and those guys in the industry to really kind of, help push it forward, or people won't care. So, I think CZ's a really big player for this industry, and I think he had too much power, and I think some of that got taken back, and there's exchanges like Nash Exchange that are opening in the US, which will definitely push the envelope for them, because here's one thing that people don't realize about Binance US. Right now, they're only approved in California. They don't have any state licenses in any of the other states yet. They have some time to get them, and I don't know if they can get them fast enough, but Nash Exchange has licenses in every single US state. So it'll be really interesting to see the competition that comes out of this, and even Coinbase will also have probably an uptick in people using it as well. And let's see who and what they list, and what projects don't make it, and where those projects end up. I'm really curious to see that.
Yeah. I mean, Coinbase has seemed to be adding quite a bit of altcoins lately. I mean, just this past week, they had to, it was nice to see the Coinbase effect back in effect again with Chainlink, when Chainlink was added. And me and I have a group of guys who were in a group chat talking about it. When one of the guys was saying, hey, get in at 235, it just got added to Coinbase Pro, but it wasn't actively trading it. And another guy was like, oh, I haven't seen the Coinbase pump in a while, which is, for those of you that may not know what that is, that's when back when, coins were added to Coinbase, they would typically see a nice pump with it. And I said, yeah, but that was, that didn't happen a lot during the bear market last year. But since things have gotten hot again, you definitely see it happening when something's getting added to it.
Oh yeah, Coinbase had a huge pump, but I mean, LinkChain, not LinkChain, Chainlink. The thing about them, which is really interesting, is they never got below their ICO prices ever. Like through 2017 to 2018, they're a freaking strong project, and anyone that didn't realize that started to realize that probably a little too late. And I know people that are buying it at 34,000 sats, and I'm like, dude, if you're not buying that for like a super short trade, you should not be buying to hold it at that price. And they're like, why? And I'm like, dude, if MACD could have got a harder dildo than it did, I've never seen that before in my life on a coin do that. Like on anything, on any asset, even Bitcoin hasn't done something like that. Like it just exploded that coin over a couple days. And so when you see that, you go, okay, well, like that's not a good time to get in. This is like a FOMO rally, and you want to be careful of those. So if you ever see that happen, don't do it. Now, the thing about this is something I talked about in my group recently. People have been like, well, all these IEOs and things. I said, well, you got to watch for all the IEOs that are going to start working together. So a couple things that I put together about Chainlink. Number one, who are they involved with? So obviously they're now on Coinbase. They're on Binance, which is both, pretty big, the biggest exchanges in the world. But then you also look at who was partnered with them. So and they also partnered with Matic Network. And now, what does Matic Network do, and why would they connect with Chainlink? Here's why. So Matic makes dApps, right? So think of them as like the Google Play Store. So they linked up with LinkChain. Now, who's invested in Matic? Coinbase and Binance Labs. Okay, so let's look at that. Now they're connected to Chainlink. So you see all the connections we have here, right? So Matic is now connected to Chainlink. Chainlink makes an ecosystem for things that are like Matic. So Matic creates the dApp, for example, and then they make the and then Link makes the micro payment system, the smart contract system. They work hand in hand perfectly. So we have this really big connection of Coinbase, Binance, Matic, and Link all working together in like kind of unison in this big circle. And you look at those and you go, okay, those are projects that are probably going to do extremely well, because how many Coinbase ventures have done horrible? Not very many. How many of the Binance Labs investments have done horrible? Not very many. So we look at both of those and we go, okay, this is pretty interesting. And then we also look at things like Seller and Fed. Those are both working together. And which other ones are working together as well? A bunch of the IEOs are starting to find ways to work with each other. Now, why are they doing that? Because, simple as it becomes, we're not going to need 2,000 projects. We're not even going to need 1,000 probably. Now, we'll have them there. They'll still be there, but we won't really need them. So which projects do we need is the better question right now, and that's what I'm fundamentally looking at. I just met this guy named Tony Evans from Japan. He's working on the Mt. Gox hack repayments. And what's really interesting about him is he was like, yeah, we're going to start doing junk bonds for crypto. It's like, what do you mean? He's like, basically all these projects that have failed, a lot of them have good tech. But the thing is, their tech's going to go to garbage. Their blockchain that they built is going to go to garbage. Their staking mechanism is going to go to garbage, but there's still good tech there. So they're going to start using their ability with their finances to buy all these shitcoin projects and make one bigger project with like 10 that do a lot of different things with the tech. So instead of like having like all these projects that have failed not have anything value for them, they're going to start integrating a bunch of the projects that they buy together to have one core project. So it's really interesting that they're going to do that, because there is pieces of tech from a bunch of these companies that are actually very useful, but they're not useful on their own. There's not enough use case. So why don't we take all these e-commerce IEOs that failed or ICOs that failed and put them into one and make a super duper e-commerce site or platform for people to use using crypto? You know, these are the types of things that they have to start looking at. And, you know, they're going to get these companies for a fraction of a dollar because they failed already. And then they're going to combine them and make a super company with maybe 15 IEOs that are ICOs that die. And that's where you're going to start seeing real value. You know, the whole merger acquisition game in crypto is going to be very big, because as much as a lot of these projects died, they may have died because of bad marketing. They may have died because it was 2018 and they tried to come to market too early. There's a lot of factors of why a project could fail. But now we have another aspect that's starting to come into the game where people are going, well, there's still good tech. And that's where, you know, blockchain and crypto and these projects are going to start to flourish, when you put them together and you actually let them complement each other and really help each other build. You start having like these super companies, kind of like the big, you know, Apples and Googles, where they just bought all the competitors up. Instead of just buying all the competitors up, they're just going to make an Apple or a Google by combining a ton of companies, or at least try to. So that's a really interesting aspect that's also happening in the market right now as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, something's going to have to happen with all those projects as the tech evolves and as projects move forward, because never even thought about that, man. So that's really good insight. I was actually taking some notes myself while you were talking on that one.
And I've been working with some of the bigger players in the space on we do it on the kind of like not like, hey, look at me, I'm working with this person in the space type of stuff. More like we just work together and try to help each other out. And it's not about competition. And this is the thing about the space that drew me in, was instead of in a typical environment in business, it's like you're making a trading platform, I'm making a trading platform, I'm gonna make my trading platform better than you. I'm gonna do this, this, and this. In crypto, it's not really like that. It's like, yes, you're competition, but like, how can we work together to benefit each other? And this is the different mindset than traditional business, because in crypto, it's always like help each other out. You know, I got your back, you got mine. I need something, I got it, and I can help you with something else. And really like, kind of like building an ecosystem of like knowledgeable, friendly, helpful, non-fudding, non-FOMOing type of individuals that really focus on the goal of the space. My goal right now of the space is adoption. I do grassroots things like teaching grandma and grandpa how to use crypto. And like everyone's like, how the hell do you tell your grandma to use crypto? I'm like, does your grandma have a phone? Like, yeah. Okay, let's just do a simple task. Download Trust Wallet, upload some Bitcoin to that Trust Wallet, maybe some Dash or other ones, and just trade them together as a game, or call it a game with your grandma, and start trading coins back and forth. Who cares if you burn a little bit of gas or anything like that? Just do it. And they see it's really easy. Then pull out your phone and do the QR code scan and let them see how easy that is. Then let them go to the grocery store, whatever, find a grocery store that uses it, and then let them scan using like a WireX card or anything like that. Let them actually like scan it and actually pay in crypto. When they realize they can do all that, it's not a huge task. They start going, oh, it's not that difficult. Now, they don't have to have a huge wad on their phone or a huge wad anywhere. They just have to have a little bit and start using it, because the whole idea of crypto is to use it. So you get that going. Then you get your kids involved at home. You get them their phone. You know, they don't have to be old. My son's like 4 years old, and he already figured this stuff out. Show him how to transfer a little cryptocurrency. You know, make it a game. Okay, there's a QR codes on the wall. You know, print out a couple of your QR codes for different projects, and you just have them go on the phone and scan the QR code and like accept the payment and stuff. You just get them involved, and it makes it fun. Next thing you know, they're like, Daddy, can I do the Bitcoin game and stuff? And you get them excited about it, and then as they get older, you can start educating them about economics and what crypto is and all that stuff. But at the point, it's just like getting them involved. So at grassroots level with little kids, just get them using it and like seeing it and make it a game and make it fun, and try to give them as much knowledge as you can as a little kid. And as they grow up, of course, by the time they're in high school, you can really get them at the point of understanding it. And I even had my high school students when I was still teaching, understanding Bitcoin, and they were coming to me. I knew when it was time to get out when my high school students were coming to me. Mr. Joel, did you see Bitcoin today? Mr. Joel, did you see Bitcoin today? Hey, Mr. Joel, I got my parents to buy me Bitcoin. I was like, all right, I'm out. Straight up. Because when you see that, you know that it's a FOMO rally at that point when your students are buying it. But the point was that they got interested, and I know right now they're still interested, because now they're like, whoa, it did come back. And it is really interesting. And so it's something to get them excited, and economics wise, it was really fun to teach. So yeah, overall, that is like my super big focus. Get, grandma, grandpa, give them their first little bit of crypto. Give your brother, your sister, your uncle, your dad the first little bit of crypto. Let them use it, play with it, and then get them like something like a spend card or something else, like a wallet that they can actually use with their like fiat, and go and use that as actual money. And then they see that, oh crap, these coins that they thought were just play and like Monopoly money, they could actually use to buy stuff. Then it's really interesting for them. And then they see like, okay, let them hold it for a while, and let them hold Bitcoin since it was like 6K. And even if you give them $20 worth and they see it double, they're like, holy crap, it went to $100. I should have invested myself. That's when you started getting them hooked. And that's when they become like I was after, 2013 when I first invested, and didn't look for like over 2 years, 3 years. And my friend called me up in 2017, was like, hey man, did you see Bitcoin? I was like, yeah, it died. He's like, no. I was like, well, it's pretty much dead. Like I have it still, but he's like, no. If you held, you're good. I'm like, okay, why? He's like, it's $1,000. And I was like, really? It was like 900 something. I was like, really? He's like, yeah. I was like, holy crap. All right. Well, I guess the OG did pay off. And then, that's how I started realizing where this asset class could go. And that's when I started really doing more research in like January, February 2017 of like, what is Bitcoin really? Like, what is it really trying to do? Is it really a speculative asset class? Or is it something that is going to somehow refine how we, do our, how our financial system works? And then you start doing research in the global financial crisis, and you really start seeing why Bitcoin's inception happened. And you also realize that Satoshi is not one person, and it's not Craig Wright. It's actually a group of people that came together to fight this bailing people out who basically screwed everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw. I'm trying to think of the quote I saw today. It was something about a bank. Give someone some money and they'll put it in a bank, or teach them how to start a bank and they'll rob the world, or something.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Be your own bank, man. Get a treasurer, spread them out and be your own bank.
I know exactly what it was. It said, give somebody a gun and they might rob a bank. But if you give someone a bank, they'll rob everybody, rob the world, or something like that.
That sounds pretty accurate. They have, and they do. Like, yeah, charge me 2% for my own money every time I withdraw it. Charge me money to charge me money to take it out, charge me money to move it. I live in Thailand, so it's like, I want to send money to my mom. Okay, we're going to charge you $40 on a grand. And you're like, why? Why are you charging $40 to send $1,000 home? That's a stupid amount of money. So I tell my mom, Mom, get a wallet, XRP, and then I'm going to connect you to Coinbase, and then, I'll send you the XRP. It'll take 1 second, and you'll have it there in Canada, and you'll be able to take it out at $999.99 and then some. And she's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, just figure this out. Learn how to do it. I call my brother, you got to teach you how to do this. And, when you're a student, when I was a student, and paying off my student debt, that was, a pain. It was every time you send money home every month, you're losing $40. You're losing $40. And that adds up, compounding, because you're paying interest on that loan, right? So giving people the ability to understand that they don't have to do that and waste money, you're starting to see it all over the place. And I'm not a huge proponent of one or the other, but all cryptocurrency is cheap, right? Compared to the banking system, even Bitcoin's cheap. BNB's cheap. Everything's cheap compared to what we have right now. You're not paying 6 different people in between and waiting 3 days for the money to get there. Even PayPal, you have to wait 5 to 7 days to get your money out of PayPal. How is that benefiting you in the long run? It doesn't benefit you. You wait a week for your own money. That's crazy. You have that on a Bitcoin wallet, you can send it to your bank and get the money out the next day in some places at least. Yeah, there's a lot of benefits to this industry. And I think a lot of people need to start waking up to that. If they haven't yet, I think they started to now. But we really, it's up to us. That's the really big point. If you're listening to this right now, it's up to you, not me, not, Ian Bellina or any big influencer. It's up to the regular people to help people get involved in this. Because if you don't get them involved, in 5 years, they're going to be like, I should have got involved. I should have listened to you. But just do stuff to make them start looking at this as a real industry and not just as some Pinocchio money and stuff. Let them use it. Let them interact with it. Give them places where they can spend it. And all of a sudden, they'll start realizing that too. And worst of all, or best of all, give them something or even hold some for them. Tell them, give me $100. I'll hold it for you. And just invest $100 in a Coinbase, in that Coinbase where you can spread it out into 5 different coins and just put in those coins and leave it. And do that $100 a month. Get them to start with something small that they can afford to do. And if it's $50, it doesn't matter. Because if this asset class does hit that $100,000 in a few years and they have 0.5 Bitcoin, that's going to be a crap load of money that they may not have ever had an opportunity to get. It's life-changing for a lot of people. I have friends that became billionaires last year. In 2017, and now they're billionaires yet again because they believe in this asset class. And the thing is, my buddy Larry Harmon started with $8,900 of Bitcoin and became a billionaire from that in 7 years. So think about that. Let that sink in and realize what that actually means. Think of the Winklevoss brothers. Think of all these guys that became extremely wealthy because of Bitcoin. And they didn't spend a lot of money on it. And the thing is, this industry is infant. It's infant. If you really look at this industry, if we had the money gold did tomorrow, I'd be a multimillionaire tomorrow just because of gold. If we had $7 trillion, that would mean our industry would go up so much that I would instantly overnight become a multi-billionaire. Or not multi-millionaire. And some of my friends would be trillionaires. They're not trillionaires, but close, have more money than some of the companies in this world. So the whole idea is that this is so small and it's going to get so much bigger. And then we look at cash in the world. If Bitcoin replaced all cash in the world, you would have 0.02 or something like that, might even be less than that per person in the world. That's not including the Bitcoin that has been lost, like mine were, when your hard drive died and Bitcoin was not worth the money to recover it at the time. You know, that's the stuff that you have to understand is like, if you get it now, and this is not financial advice, it's just like, this is revolutionary advice, that if you get it now, before everything starts to get to that real hype cycle, because we're not there yet, I think the average person who got burned last cycle in 2018 are not going to come in until we're over 20K. They're going to see over 20K, 25K, then they're going to come in because they're going to be like, okay, now it is real. And that might be the time where we actually have a blow off top again and move down before we go to 50K. So it's something to also take note of, that if you wait too long for it to be at a certain level, you also lose. So the idea here is like what you said, Wayne, little bits at a time. You don't have to throw your whole entire stack at it, and you never should.
Yeah. Awesome stuff, man. So, all right, Coach K, so tell everybody where they can find you at. I know you kind of talked about it a little bit throughout the interview, but tell everybody where they can find you, what platforms you're on, and that way they can connect and follow you.
Yeah, so on Twitter, it's just my name, Joel Kofshoff. So JoelKovshoff. You can find me on there. I post on there different things like charts for free and post analysis for free. I talk about all that stuff. It's all free. It's Twitter, of course. I also have my site, athenaproject.trade. This is where you can get involved with our trading system. If you just want signals, we have that as well. It's all integrated into a platform in a Telegram bot, so you have both, but it's really easy to use. We have videos on my YouTube channel if you look up Athena Education, so just check into that. We have a full explainer so you can understand how it works and how simple it actually really is for a new person to get started. And then through that platform, we also have, education and lots of other things that you can get involved with. And I'm really approachable. You can find me at Joel_Coach K on Telegram as well. And I also have a group on Facebook that's called Block Traders, and Athena Education is also on there as well. So lots of places you can find me, connect, and I'm really happy to talk to anyone. I mean, ask Wade, he hit me up, and I messaged him the same day. So very happy to talk to anyone about crypto. I'm a very big proponent of the industry and always happy to help out projects and work with people.
Awesome, Joe. I appreciate you joining us today. And everyone, I want to thank you all for listening in, and we will catch you on the next episode.